How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having
Good.
me.
Yeah, thank you for coming back.
You're
All right,
welcome.
we're gonna go ahead and get started with Amy here. So I know some of you have seen Amy before, but if you haven't seen Amy before, put a one in the chat for me. I just want to see how many new people we have here that haven't talked to Amy yet. I know it's gonna be a bunch after the new year because oh yeah, there's a bunch of people. All right, so Amy is a organizing coach, a LinkedIn learning instructor, and an LA Times author. She helps busy professionals bring their lives from overwhelming to clarity through her work at thoughtful organizing. So we're really excited to have you here, Amy. Tell us really about yourself. Introduce yourself to all these new people that are here and how you got into the line of work that you're in.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. I started my career in teaching. I was a high school special ed teacher, and I did that for 15 years. I was in the section of special ed where my kids had learning disabilities. So they played on the football team, wrestling team. They just needed a little extra help. So they had me for one class. And I loved it. And then until I didn't. And probably 15 years in, I was like, I think I need to graduate from high school. I need to do something different. So I was transitioning to something I had no idea what I was going to do. Um, a little bit like you guys, I basically took a year to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And at the time, someone told me that someone had come to their work. I'm here in Santa Barbara, and this friend of mine said, "Oh yeah, they came and did an organization workshop for all the managers at the city, and you should call this woman. She's right up your alley." I loved like all things organization. I think growing up in a military house, my dad was in the Navy. We moved every 2 years, so I was just used to not
Mhm.
keeping a lot of stuff. It was always the MO to, okay, we don't need to take all this to the next house. Keep your 10
Yeah.
favorite books, keep your five favorite, whatever. Maybe that's just the way my parents did it, but yeah, I think that really helped me to see that I didn't ever want to accumulate too much stuff. And so I called this woman. Long story short, she just said, "Yeah, come and have coffee with us." A bunch of us organizers meet up, and yeah, I just got started. Her advice to me at the time was just make business cards. People, I don't think really do that anymore, but
Mhm.
she just said basically get out there, just tell people you're doing it, just start out. And yeah, I started probably, it's been about 14 years that I've done it.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Really just picking up something after 15 years. What was the biggest struggle after going to something completely different?
Yeah. So I think what this woman said to me was, you have, your training is in teaching people. You have this like master's of education. She's like, I think it would go really well with your teaching people how to not just get organized, but stay organized. So that was really where I found that, okay, I think I could do this. And it was hard. I mean, it was hard in the beginning. I didn't know how much to charge. I didn't know really, I had never run a business. And I'm still trying to figure it out. I am no, like, I feel like so many days I have imposter syndrome and I'm like, I don't really know what I'm doing. But I've had glimmers of like hope that have shown me, okay, I think this is what I'm supposed to do. I grew up outside of DC because my dad got transferred to the Pentagon. And so it was really cool a couple years ago randomly on my website. You guys are all welcome on my website to, I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I have a link that you can book a call with me, 15 minutes. I'll give you guys 30 minutes. It's free. You don't, just to talk to me about anything that you want to talk about organization personally. But anyway, so the World Bank found me because at the bottom of one of the pages of my website, there's photos of my son and I skateboarding along the beach. And this guy from the World Bank liked it. And he was like, "Hey, could you come and do these two 90-minute breakout sessions for us?" So it was really fun. I got to fly, stay with my parents, and
Oh,
do that. I don't
yeah,
know if
that's
that
really
answered your question. Sorry, that was like
no.
a rambling answer to to a
No,
very short question.
I love those kinds of answers. So for everybody that doesn't know what you do at Thoughtful Organization, can you kind of explain what it is you do for a client or what it is you do for somebody when they ask for your assistance?
Yeah. So usually what people do is they book a call with me. We kind of chat. I kind of find out like, all right, what are your pain points? Um, and then we go from there. Sometimes if they're local between here and I would say LA and maybe Lompoc or Santa Maria, those are like an hour and a half each way, north and south from me. I'll go to them. I often will Zoom with people. I do coaching because some people it's more systems. So I do the physical space, but I'm kind of trying to not do that as much. It doesn't excite me as much as coaching someone about, how they use their time, how maybe their office is set up, or just their systems on their, computer. Just how to, yeah, streamline what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm sure you work with a lot of performing professionals. What are the most common signs that someone might be overwhelmed in their environment or in their workplace that you deal with?
Yeah, it's interesting. At first I thought, oh, like it's only going to be like the super, super like not organized people that contact me, but actually a lot of who contacts me are I think, very organized people. And what I'll say to you guys is now I think this is my third 7 Eagle that I've talked to you guys.
Uh-huh.
Is people will start with, okay, I'm not very organized. But what I will tell you guys is you are organized. So that is probably the first thing I'll say is that if you just kind of some people will say like they have a mantra or when they get up in the morning they say something. But I think if you just kind of own that, I am organized because what I know about you guys being in the military is you have to be organized. You had to be organized for all the trainings you did. I mean, in day to day. So I guess I'm saying like check that off the list that you've got that down. You're organized.
Yeah. I know being organized kind of looks different for everybody, but how do you decipher that when you go in and they're saying, I'm not organized? Like, how do you work out what they're really trying to get at?
I love the way you phrase that question. So I look at it as, and I tell people it's kind of like an onion, and we want to start to peel back the layers. What is giving you the most kind of like friction, strife?
Mhm.
Is it, technology organization? Is it like paper organization? Is it maybe organization and how you're getting work done throughout the day or, tackling a project?
Mhm.
I feel like this, and I feel you 100%. When I left teaching and didn't know what I was going to do next, you're in this really like kind of trippy unknown where you feel like you're like hanging, you're not sure which end is up. And um, yeah, so just kind of getting your bearings and just I don't know. I write a lot. Like I'm a super like pen and paper kind of girl. Like
Mhm.
some people, they do all their, they use notes in their phone and they have a lot of the apps that you can use to help you get organized. So I kind of find out like where they're coming from, like kind of how they think,
Yeah.
how they approach being organized. And like I said, kind of what their pain points are in organization.
Yeah. How much organization do you think is either them actually being unorganized or them maybe being stressed or like emotionally overloaded with something?
Yeah, I feel like it's all of it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, all of it for sure. Stress makes you feel less organized that you are. It's funny, while your last speaker, he was awesome, by the way.
Mhm.
I was like, oh man, I should have logged on sooner to listen to the things he was saying. He was really good.
Yeah, he
But
was.
while he was talking, I kind of just like jotted down some advice or just like nuggets. Um,
Mhm.
so at any point, I mean, I can share
Yeah,
that.
I'd
But there
love to
was
hear what you wrote down in real time. That's exciting.
Yes. Yeah. So, like, one thing that he said, he used the word slow down. And I had just written, take your time and slow down, because I think the old school way of when I started this whole like organizational coaching, it was very much like be productive, get as much done as you can in an hour, harder.
Mhm.
And now they're realizing that actually that's not how our brain works. We really, if we want to get the maximum amount of, work done or highest level thinking, you really do need to slow down. Like I remember, for example, when I was writing my thesis for my master's, um, my husband at the time, who also grew up in a military family, his dad was Coast Guard. So I have like my dad was in the Navy. My father-in-law is Coast Guard. My grandpa was in the Army. And my favorite uncle was in the Marines. So I feel like I'm repping all the
Yeah, 100%.
but back to the take your time and slow down, really in this kind of nebulous place that you're at where you're trying to like figure out, okay, where do I put my time? Should I work more on like my resume and building that up? Should I be working more on networking with people? What's the best strat for, finding this next position? And I
Mhm.
think even if you can like 5 minutes, 15 minutes, some people meditate, but you can call it whatever you want. But at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, just kind of taking stock of like, okay, what have I gotten done so far? What do I think I need to get done next? Because I think a lot of times we're just like, hurry, hurry, hurry on to the next thing. We're playing like at least I remember I was playing like whack-a-mole. I don't know if that's what it's called, where you're just like hitting the little gophers.
Yeah.
LinkedIn and then like reaching
Mhm.
out to people and getting back to, checking email. And there's so many things that can pull your attention in so many directions.
Yeah. No, I would love for everybody. I know I feel like that because right now in this stage that we're in, it's like we have so many things to deal with. Like we're out processing, we might be moving, we're finding a job, we're doing this every day. So if anybody
Totally.
else is feeling like that, I'd love for you to like put a little react in the chat, just so I can see and everyone else can see how many other people are also feeling that way. Because I know I definitely feel like that every day, trying to figure out everything that we need to figure out
I
during this
think we all
transition.
do. We all do.
Yeah, 100%. And it
Hey,
might make everyone feel better. Oh, go ahead.
remind me, do you say your name Kylea or
It's Kylie.
Kylie? Okay.
Yep.
Kylie, I see that Chris Benzet has a question. Do you want to
Yeah,
wait? Can I take questions like throughout, or do you want to wait till the end?
absolutely. It is your show. We are just living it. So Chris can go
Okay.
ahead.
Chris,
Well, hello there. It's good to see you again. I don't know if you
hi,
remember
nice
me
to
from the
see
last time you were
you.
here. Yeah, so we were talking about kind of like the overwhelming aspect of like just having all these things, and I remember seeing something or reading something about how um like executives like to hire lazy people. And I don't know if you've ever heard of that. And the reason
Huh.
is because they typically find ways to get things done in a much quicker and more efficient way
Oh my
instead of just working some of these redundant like processes. So I just wanted to kind of add a perspective and see what kind of you thought about it and challenge, my own perspective. But I think that where I see a lot of people struggle is knowing when to stop doing things.
God.
That we get comfortable, especially in the military. I'll tell you, like we do so many things that just don't make sense, that are just huge time sucks, and we don't get a big return on investment in all the time we spend. Like the awards program, for instance, like is ridiculous. Like we can have awards and recognize people, but the amount of it is insane, and we'll be spending significant amount of time just doing that instead of actually focusing on the mission. So I mean, I guess what is your thoughts on people holding on to some of these things that really are inefficient, that kind of prevent progress and from us being able to like actually improve processes? Um, you know, Knowing when to say no. What's some advice you would give to somebody on how to better identify those things that actually have value and knowing when to walk away from the things that don't?
Yeah, so good. I totally remember you, Chris. I remember that you could totally teach this class. I don't need to be here. Just listen to Chris. But I'll say so two things. I think those are awesome, super awesome questions. Thank you. I think this sounds so basic and so simple that it almost couldn't be true, but I would say listen to your gut. Really just listen to your gut. Listen to sometimes your body, sometimes listen to because we don't like when Chris, you said that like, when do we know when to stop? For example, like at the end of a day, when I was in my like year of trying to figure out what next is, you could literally spend 17 hours a day checking LinkedIn, checking your email, reaching out to people. But you really need to listen, I think, to your body and, give yourself a certain cutoff. Like, okay, 3 o'clock when I have to go pick up the kids, I'm not going to go back to it. I'm going to like let my head clear. I'll think more
Mhm.
clearly tomorrow. And you know how they say, like, you'll be in the shower and you'll get your greatest inspiration. So I think there's something to be said about that. Really, one of the first things that Chris said, oh my gosh, it made me chuckle inside because I worked with a coach for a while. And she said, you know what I notice about you is you always want to find like the quickest way to do something or the most. And I was like, wait, are you saying I'm lazy? Because the way she was describing it, I was like, whoa, that makes me sound lazy. Because she's like, no, 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 no. You always want to find like the shortcut, the like, I'll hear out like the whole way to do something. And I'm like, there's got to be a faster way to do that. So I don't know. Like my family says they're like, You're lazy." I'm like, no, I think I just want to like delegate things when I know like I'm not interested in doing that. Like you do that. I'm not saying you can do that in a work situation all the time. You can't tell your boss like, I don't want to do this, but I don't know. I hope that answers your questions, Chris.
No, I definitely understand where you're coming from. I'm the same way. I don't like working processes that are stupid. And
Mm,
where I've gotten myself in trouble of 20 years in military services, I was that guy that wasn't afraid to tell people it was stupid. And
yeah.
sometimes, sometimes it doesn't go over well. But I'll be honest with people. I'll be like, "Yeah, that's dumb. Why are we doing this?" Or I would just make the decision, and be like, "Yeah, we're not doing this anymore." And then if we were going to take heat from it, I'll take the heat, And yeah, I mean, I think that I can definitely understand where you're coming from. It's not about not getting the mission done. I think that's where people get confused. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, like it's you still want to get the mission done, but I'm with you. I'm like, there's got to be a better way, a more efficient way where I'm not spending all kinds of time. And I've have so many examples of things that I've been able to do in my time where I was able to do just that. So I just wanted to see your perspective.
Mhm. I think I'll just leave one last thing is that I think I would just sub out the word stupid. So when you going forward in whatever your next career is, because trust me, I've learned the hard way. I put my foot in my mouth all the time. And I think people, if I use a word, that rubs people the wrong way, they think like kind of what you're saying, that you're telling them that what they're doing is stupid. But I think if you just said instead, like, hey, I think there's a more efficient way to do this. So simply just saying, like, hey, I think I know a better way. Hear me out. This could save us this much time. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that was a really good question, Chris. I like how Richard put it in the comments too. He said my time is important, which it is.
Yes.
It's not laziness, it's just time is important. If you can get something done and be more efficient with the next thing, then
I love that. Yeah, Richard,
yeah.
I don't know that I can see you. How do I make it so that I can see oh, I see. View. I like to be able to see everyone. Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a really good point, Richard.
Well, wait, I'm going to just piggyback on Richard's. That is actually
Mhm.
an amazing point because I've read all these articles on LinkedIn about how the way you communicate to a team, whatever team you're on, civilian life, military, I mean, is such a gift. And if you say that to everyone, like, hey, sorry, what were the words again that Richard said?
He said my time is important.
Yes, like that, because that shows people, hey, like all of our time is important. And it gives
Mhm.
other people, models to other people, oh, cool, I can say that now in that my meeting I have. Because instead of, I mean, you could say like, oh, this is lame, this is really stupid. But yeah, that just like up levels how you come across.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to, do you have any more comments that you wrote down while he was speaking? I saw you look,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear the other ones as well.
Okay, and I'm watching the time too.
Yeah.
So I wrote, take stock of what you have and make a plan. Write down steps that need to be done. So I think one thing that I remember about the military and my dad's transition from when he was at the Pentagon to out in civilian life was that he really went through a super hard time with not knowing what to do first, what to do next. He, and I think if you allow yourself to, like, at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, maybe on Sunday, to kind of take stock of your week, like, okay, what do I have to do? I told my wife or my girlfriend, like, these days I would pick up the kids. Okay, these days I promised I would make dinner. So put in the things that are totally non-negotiable first to your
Mhm.
week. And then kind of figure out, like, all right, I have these like chunks of time on these days. What could I do that would really move me forward in my job search? So maybe it's like reaching out to people. Okay, maybe Tuesdays I'll like reach out to people. Um, and then, Wednesdays I'll kind of just like work on whatever it is. So
Mhm.
yeah, just kind of giving, because I think it's super, yeah, it was hard for me as a teacher. It was very similar to being in the military in that I just was taking orders every day. Like I was told, not like in my classroom and what to teach, but like I was told where to be at what time. The bells rang. I knew I had to be back.
Mhm. Yeah, same
So yeah,
structure.
definitely.
Yeah. You talk a lot on your LinkedIn and your social media about systems over willpower. Why is that distinction so important?
Yeah, so I think about it like the mo in the mo I'll distill down like the most simplest one.
Mhm.
Someone once, it was my ex-husband. He's like, you always drive the same route around where I live. Santa Barbara's pretty small town. I'm small town, big city, or I mean small city. But he's like, you always drive the same route. And I'm like, he's like, why don't you drive different ways so that you can like see different things? And I was like, you know what? I do it so I can kind of zone out. And it's like my like just routine. And so when you create, it took me a really long time to really think about that analogy. And when you create these routines, like that like you brush your teeth every morning and every night, and
Mhm.
you don't even have to think about it. And so when you create routines, you can kind of go forward without thinking so much. So you're in this place right now where you're really like constantly, I don't know. I remember I was like, wait, should I do this? Should I do that? And so, like,
Mhm.
maybe your routine is, like I said, these Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you pick up the kids. Maybe Tuesday, Thursday morning, you have time to yourself when everyone's out of the house. Maybe those are the mornings that you kind of get on calls with people to reach out and see if maybe they have any leads for you. Um, Maybe your lower hanging fruit, the stuff that doesn't take as much brain power, like answering emails. You can kind of do that when like people are around. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I actually can't. Sometimes I need total quiet or else
Yeah.
I'll write the wrong thing or yeah, send it to the wrong person. So, yeah, you kind of need to tap into what helps you be organized. Like, do you need a quiet space? Like maybe
Mhm.
if you're going to go work in a coffee shop, it's good to maybe have earphones on so that you're not distracted by just all the noise around you.
Yeah, I feel like having a routine, especially for me, I'm very routine based, and it helps kind of take that decision fatigue away. Like I don't have to
Yes.
be stressed about making a decision because my decision is already made for me. I know what I'm doing today, and
It's
I don't have to think about it. So,
I love that you said that. The decision fatigue because it's exhausting.
yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. It's exhausting to constantly have to decide like what is my priority? What do I
Mhm.
need to do now?
Yeah, 100%. One of our other mentors talks about Johnny. He's our more fitness mentor. He talks about writing down your intention for the day at the
Yes.
beginning of the day, and I think that's another really good way to do that.
Love it. It's like, it's like how people will make a list at the end
Hmm.
of the day, like if it's what's today, Tuesday. So today, at the end of the day, I'll make a list of what I want to accomplish tomorrow. I kind of plug in like the things I already know, like I have a dentist appointment or I have to do this, but you kind of plug in like, okay, my intention is to whatever,
Yeah,
get three new
absolutely.
contacts. Yeah.
Hmm. What are some common organizing mistakes that you see people making that are actually making it more stressful?
Good, really good question. I would say with physical space, people think because there's so many like people you can follow on Instagram and there's shows on Netflix. With physical space, people think that like getting all these organizational things that you can buy at like Office Depot or Staples is going to fix everything. And what I say to people is don't buy anything yet. Let's kind of do a clear out and like a purge of what's like at your desk. Maybe
Hmm.
yes, maybe you do need something like an upright file to like if you have paper stuff or maybe you need this one thing. And then the same with technology is that a lot of people think that like, oh, okay, this one app is going to fix everything. And I'm trying to think what it's called because I'm super analog. I have a
Hmm.
paper, I also do digital, but there are these organizers that's all they do is teach. What's it? I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's super popular and it helps you organize projects and it's like a project manager thing.
Okay.
But, but anyway, like that's not gonna, I guess my point is that that's not gonna fix everything.
Mm.
It's just a tool that you can use to help you, but you're really ultimately the one that has to kind of slow down, make some decisions, prioritize. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I know we have 4 minutes left, and I would like to ask one last question of for someone in here, we had a lot of hands earlier saying they were also feeling kind of crazy. So for someone in here that might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed, what's the very first step that they can take today to try to help lower that?
I would say there's a term they call a brain dump, and that just
Mm.
means write. So like for example, I have this super simple, it's like, I don't know, from Target or Kmart or Target. I think Kmart went out of business. But so maybe on one page, I'll just like list all the things that need to be done. Maybe on another page, I'll kind of write like how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling super anxious, like what's giving me anxiety? Oh, then I realize it's that one project that's just been hanging over my head. Sometimes if I write words, it doesn't even have to be full sentences. I can kind of by the end of the page realize, oh, yes, it is that one thing that I've been putting off, like working on my website. And I won't figure that out until I kind of write a couple sentences down.
Yeah, with the list thing, you said list all the things that need to be accomplished. How do you stop yourself from getting overwhelmed while looking at all those things? Like, say you write them all down and you're like, okay, where do I start?
Yeah, super good question. So then I would take that list because you've kind of brain dumped it. And
Mm-hmm.
then you maybe just take three things that you want to move forward. So you pick your top three most important things. And then maybe this week, that's what you're going to work on. It's just like, or maybe even just one or two things. Because
Yeah.
sometimes they're big. Like I used to write, like, I'm going to work on my website. Well, that's huge. I needed to break down, I'm just going to work on the first page of my website, or I'm just going to reach out to someone who
Mhm.
could design, whatever, part of it.
Yeah. No, that's great advice. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming back today, Amy.
You're so welcome.
It seems like everyone got a thing out of it. We had a couple really good questions, some good conversation. So yeah, this was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, you too.